Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Online here. Welcome back to another video, guys. And if you guys don't recall, I did make a video a couple weeks back stating that my beliefs of Sucker Punch's new game is probably going to be a new IP, but in my heart, I did actually want a new entry to the Infamous series. Now, obviously, over the weeks to come, we're going to get more information regarding this, especially as we get closer to E3. But we did get some pretty big news in the past week or two, and I found this free Justin Gaming, so shout out to you, man. But pretty much what it is if you guys watched my PSX prediction video this past year, I did state that I did think The Last of Us 2 was going to be announced there, and that was simply for the fact that it's been a while since, we've heard from the other team, Naughty Dog, and as well as Shinobi the Insider was also teasing some things. Now, as you guys know now, nobody was talking about The Last of Us Part 2, except for Shinobi, and obviously, as we are now, Last of Us Part 2 was announced, and yeah, he was pretty much spot on with that. Going with his history and track record, he's been pretty reliable. Honestly, I think he's the insider I believe the most. A lot of insiders get things wrong, but he's always been consistent. Pretty much, he's just talking about the future of Xbox and how they're not letting their companies really, strive for that ambition that, they may want, and instead, Sony's actually letting their studios, either take 5 years for Horizon Zero Dawn instead of going into Killzone like, they did in the past, talking about Guerrilla Games, for example, and as well as Days Gone, they're working on, probably their most ambitious title yet, Days Gone. I mean, I said Days Gone, I meant Sony Ben's working on Days Gone, but pretty much, Sony's doing all these new IPs, all these new things, and he did briefly state in that message that Sucker Punch is also working on a new IP, and at first was kind of like, sad about it, because I did think that Sucker Punch's latest entry into the Infamous series, Infamous Second Son, wasn't as good as I hoped it to be. It was a really, really good game, don't get me wrong. It was definitely the first game that I thought was, really level into the PS4 generation, so to say. And yeah, now it's not really looking that likely. It looks like they're going to be going into a separate new direction. We do know that it's going to be an open world, and probably something like superhero thingies like that. There's rumors of Iron Man possibly being there alongside Spider-Man. I think there's been also some other rumors of other, possible Marvel characters that I'm working on. It was rumored that they were going to also work on a Spider-Man game, but that turned out to be Insomniac. But pretty much what I kind of wanted to transition this video into towards, I've seen lately that ever since E3 and PSX, PlayStation's been looking probably at their best that they ever have been, and especially with these new faces of PlayStation, you see things like Horizon Zero Dawn, which comes out next month as well, and you also see things like Days Gone, which might have a release date of this year, but possibly next year, and you see new visions coming from Sony Santa Monica. They're originally going to make a new IP, but then they ended up going into a completely new direction with God of War. So you're seeing all this new creativity coming out of developers because Sony's actually allowing that, and in return we're getting all these new possible great franchises instead of the old ones we love. Things like Uncharted are taking a step back, and Alloy from Horizon Zero Dawn's kind of setting up forward there. We almost see that as like the face of PlayStation 4 going into 2017, and I feel like now more than ever, PlayStation 4 is starting to deserve that spot more than in the past. I feel like PlayStation 4 is known as a dominant console based on specs, and you'd always see those videos from IGN and GameSpot pretty much giving a graphical comparison of the biggest third-party titles, and literally they'd be the exact same. Dude, look at this cat! Dude, you must be running on an Xbox, holy crap. Wait, no, this is PS4. Wait, do you see these extra pixels on this cat? Dude! And it pretty much was kind of embarrassing. The games barely looked any different besides maybe 900 to 1080p, but really that didn't really matter to me when I'm buying a console. Those extra pixels and those extra graphical fidelities not really going to matter in the end. In the end, it does matter that I do get great games, and I see that with Uncharted 2 on the PS3, and I see that with great games, and I feel like PS4 is finally hitting that stride. We got things like Uncharted 4 and Ratchet & Clank standing out in 2016. And yeah, you could see this sort of ambition coming from Sony Studios, and you start to feel like it's actually the old PS3 days. In the early PS4 days, you could see that PlayStation 4 was winning based on its online fidelities and how they weren't going to go always online, and they were also supporting used games, and I felt like it was always a technical, aspect of it. Things like gimmicks, like I wouldn't say that the new Switch coming out is really a gimmick, but some of them, with the sliding on the controllers, and that's going to be cool, and you could probably still be using that within a couple of years, and I guess you have to, but like, at the end of the day, it's all about the software to me, and you can do all you want on your console. You can watch things in 4K, you can do anything you want, but at the end of the day, if you don't have support to like back that up, it's kind of pointless to me, honestly. Like, in a couple years, you're not going to be like still glad you bought that console because it can do X, Y, and Z, but you're going to be glad because when new games come out with it, you're going to be able to play it, and yeah, it's going to have great games, and that's why I've always chose PlayStation, to be honest, is because the games just interested me there the most. But I feel like PlayStation lately has been at the forefront with that, especially with PS3 and stuff, and I feel like PlayStation 4 is finally hitting that stride. As I said earlier, Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted were great showcases of this, but we even had some gems back in 2015. A lot of people liked Bloodborne and things like Until Dawn as well that were really, really good. And yeah, it's looking like PS4's best year ever. Things like God of War, things like Death Stranding, I haven't even mentioned that. Surprisingly, I haven't mentioned that yet, as well as Red Dead Redemption 2. You know, you're starting to get all these great games coming towards the console, and yeah, I feel like PlayStation 4 is finally winning for the right reasons, maybe. To me personally, I feel like I'm getting back into those days where back on the PS3 you had a bunch of catalog of games you could choose from, and yeah, the lineup was amazing looking back at it, and I feel like PlayStation 4, even though we didn't have the software, you know, in the first couple of years, maybe 2 years of the console, I'd say, we are starting to get those gems like Ratchet and Clank, like Uncharted 4 Thief's End, maybe Horizon Zero Dawn, and yeah, so that's kind of my rant today. Yeah, it turned from a rip Infamous to like the new faces of PlayStation, but I kind of wanted to talk about that because it's been on my mind ever since E3 with Spider-Man and that sort of stuff, and as well as going into, you know, PSX with things like the Lost Legacy DLC coming from Naughty Dog, and as well as The Last of Us Part 2. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Really looking forward to hearing what your take is on this. But yeah, guys, this has been Online, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.